In ancient Greece, the little owl emblem, goddess of Athena, is a symbol of wisdom, was a symbol of wisdom. In the Middle Ages, it's said that witches believed an owl was an evil omen or a sign of the devil.
Testing.
How's that? That's still a little loud. Today, owls are used as signs of wisdom. Well, I propose to you that owls are no smarter than any other bird. In other words, ravens, geese, and crows are said to be smarter than owls, which was an eye-opener for me. Well, owls are classified under Aves, which goes for birds. Technically means they're warm-blooded, backboned animals. Still a little fuzzy, but most of the skin is covered with feathers, except on the legs, where there are horny scales, a relic of reptilian ancestry. They have 2 pair of limbs based on a pattern of 4 fingers. The front pair of limbs having been modified into wings. Strigiformis is their order. And Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary defines an owl as such: any member of a group, now usually considered as constituting a separate order, strigiforms, of birds of prey, distinguished by their large head and eyes, short, hooked bill, strong talons, and more or less nocturnal habits. Let's focus on all of the basic similar characteristics of these owls. There are 2 families of owls in North America: the Strigidae, which are eagle and eared owls, and there are about 120 species of those. And the other members of the owl family, Titanidae. There are about 11 species. The barn owl is a member of the Titanidae family. Now, when scientists decide which family or group the birds belong to, they take a lot of things into consideration. The size and location of the air openings. They compare the markings of the feathers, length of the toes, talons, posture, habits, shape and length of the beak, size and shape of the body, and the shape and length of the tail of the bird. Consequently, the first part of an owl's name defines the genus it belongs to. For example, the spotted and barred owl belong to the genus Strix because they have so many similar characteristics. The second part of the scientific name identifies the species of the owl. The owl's skull is large, round, can be narrow in some cases, and there are 4 gouged out cavities, 2 openings for the ears and 2 for the eyes. Their beaks appear to be quite short when you look at them full face, but this is due to the bulk of feathers that surround the beak. It's curved, very sharp, and well provided with highly sensitive cells. It's not a dead item. It can be, according to the species, yellow in color, black, tan, brown, or greenish in color. They use their beaks to carry their prey and to tear meat from large captured animals for consumption. The lower jaw of the mouth is not clearly visible until the mouth is open, which in turn flattens the feathers around it. Owls' eating habits are really interesting, I thought. They swallow the animal whole, head first. The animal's fur, feathers, teeth, claws, and bones that are not digestible are regurgitated into little pellets. I have a sample here to show you, and I realize I'm going on and on, so I want to break, but these are some of the bones and teeth that came out of a pellet. And this is what some of the pellets look like. The pellet is really interesting because the fur and feathers of the animal that they have eaten is tightly wrapped around the bones and the claws and things and teeth that they cannot digest. Some owls, those large owls that consume large animals, have larger pellets naturally, and those that consume small insects and any type of insects, they can digest mostly all of the insects, so the pellets are much smaller. Now, the interesting thing about owls, they eat squirrels, rabbits, snakes, worms, frogs, fish, insects, crickets, caterpillars, moths, other owls, but basically rodents. So they're very good friends to the farmers and to anyone here who has rodents around the backyard. I am trying to do this without reading, Barbara. I want to focus on their vision, their eyes and the vision, because when you look at an owl, if you are lucky enough to ever come across one, I think the eyes are the most interesting thing about the owls. They're usually, and almost always, very, very large, depending on the size of the owl, and they take up more space in the skull than the brain. They face frontally, which is not the case in most other birds, and are fixed in their sockets. Most birds do not have the ability to move their eyeballs to any great degree, but an owl's eyes have no eye muscles for movement. They have excellent vision and can see quite well in almost complete darkness. Their eyes can take in a great deal of light, which makes it possible for them to see extremely well at night. They can open their pupils until they seem to fill the entire eye. A lens focuses the light energy into a sensitive retina, which lines the eyeball. This retina is composed of two different types of cell, so named because of their shape, the rods and the cones. The rods are much more sensitive to light intensity. The rods are much more sensitive to low light intensity, but they do not produce a clear image, while the cones provide not only a sharp image, but also give color vision. The eyes of owls have many more rods than cones. In other words, they have sacrificed some degree of color vision in order to be able to hunt in semi-darkness. Some scientists think that due to the many rods in an owl eye, they can collect 100 times more light than the eyes of a human being. Birds also have a structure called the pecten, intruding from the back of the eyeball into the vitreous humor. The pecten is an erectile organ, membranous. It contains only many blood vessels and can alter the pressure within the eyeball. That pressure affects the shape of the lens and provides the eye with the ability to accommodate any changes that may occur when an animal moves closer to a bird or when a bird moves nearer to an object. Many biologists believe that the shadow the pecten casts upon the back of the retina might provide the impression of any movement in the environment. Ron Freethy, author of How Birds Work, A Guide to Bird Biology, states, "The main weight of opinion, however, seems to suggest that the pecten is a sort of supplementary feeding organ, providing the retina with material which diffuse through the vitreous humor. From an evolutionary point of view, this makes sense, since a similar structure called the arteria centralis retina is found in reptiles." Owls have two sets of eyelids, the inner translucent eyelid and the outer opaque. There's also a third eyelid, the nictitating membrane. This is situated in the inner corner of the eye. Its function is somewhat like that of the windshield wipers on your automobile. It has its own lubricating gland. is controlled by two special muscles, is transparent, and can shut down over the corner of the eye and act as a sort of contact lens if necessary. Man's nictitating membrane is found in the corner of the eye and functions as a tear gland. Owls also have binocular vision, just as you and I have, which means that they can see two overlapping images, one from each eye simultaneously. It makes it possible for them to judge distance with extreme accuracy. Now, in regards to the owl's neck, if you've ever been lucky enough to see an owl, and there was a program on Channel 28 by Marty Stouffer talking about the owl's neck and showing it. It really is interesting to see. Birds can have anywhere from 11 to 25 neck bones. The owl's neck appears to be quite short. They have 14 to 17 neck bones. They have the ability to turn their neck 3/4 of the way around, or about 270 degrees. An owl can turn its head around very slowly, then snap it back so fast until it appears as if it has gone into a complete circle. It does not have the ability to turn its head into a complete circle. But this compensates for the immobility of the eyes. Now, the thing that really helps owls and most birds is their hearing accuracy, which was mentioned before. Owls have excellent hearing ability, probably because of the long ventricle openings in the sides of their heads. There's a flap of skin behind and in front of each ear. They can move the flaps simultaneously, one at a time in the same direction, or one at a time in opposite directions. Many writers have remarked on the ability of owls in general, but the barn owl, in particular, to catch rodents successfully in complete darkness. Some suggested that the bird could be using infrared energy to locate its prey. But the work of Roger Payne has shown that sound is the clue used by owls. In a series of ingeniously designed experiments at Cornell University in New York, Payne unraveled the answer. No animal can use a conventional eye in the total absence of light. It's impossible. He found that the barn owl could strike at a rodent to within an accuracy of 1 degree, but if frequencies above 5 kilohertz were filtered out, the bird refused to attack. Infrared photography has confirmed that an attack in darkness involves moving the head from side to side, thus enabling a 3-dimensional audio pattern to be built up in a similar manner to a visual parallax. The long-eared owl of the United States, Canada, and Europe has large ear slits located in different positions on either side of its head. One might be here, one here, one here, one here, not directly across from each other. They're not visible because of its long, large ear tufts, especially when they are in a raised position. That blocks out the slits. The stiff feathers that circle an owl's face seem to play a part in the bird's hearing. Some scientists say that facial disc helps to funnel sounds into the owl's ears. In regards to smell, there's been some research that proves that the olfactory organs may play a greater role in the lives of birds than we imagine. The taste buds, if birds possess any, are located in the regions of the pharynx and the epiglottis. However, I wasn't able to find much scientific material in regards to owls in this area. Now, most owls are very, very noisy. They hoot, moan, mutter, whistle, wheeze, trill, whimper, chirp, hiss, bark like puppies, and mew like kittens. Now, they can be very long or very small. A North American owl can weigh as little as 1 ounce, like the elf owl, or as much as 70 ounces, like the snowy owl. They can be as long as 33.3 inches in length from the tip of the beak to the tip of the tail, like the great gray owl, or as short as 6.6 inches in length, like the small elf owl. The tarsus of a bird's leg, often called the shank, carries out the same job as a human leg. In birds, the thigh bone is very short and is hidden within the body wall. The ankle joint forms a strong, single-action design to withstand the stress and strain of takeoffs and landings. Some owls, like the snowy owl, have thick feathers on their feet, but the majority of them have scales on their feet. Each large foot has 4 toes that end with powerful, sharp, curved talons. The talons are used mainly for holding. They are razor sharp. And sometimes they kill their prey upon attack by sticking these talons into them. Now, the feathered wings of birds, that we've just learned a lot about, provide for propulsion and efficient aerodynamics. The primary feathers are attached to hard bones, and these are driven through the air by large flight muscles. If these feathers are destroyed or damaged, the bird will not be able to fly. The secondary feathers are inserted along the arm of the wing and is responsible for the lift. Each feather functions independently and allows the shape of the wing to be altered during flight, which gives the bird great freedom of movement. Most of the feathers on an owl are soft and fluffy. The down-like feathers, which are found on the fringe of the wings, look like the tiny teeth of a saw. Many scientists believe that this is what enables owls to fly so silently. They can usually swoop down on their prey silently, almost invisibly, and attack even in the still of the night. The great gray owl has a wingspan of about 5 feet in length when in flight. It looks massive due to the fact that it is covered with many, many soft, fluffy feathers. The colors of an owl's feathers usually blend in with their habitat, which makes them difficult to see as long as they sit very still. Their colorations are used to protect them from predators. Consequently, some owls have spotted feathers, dark brown, tan, brown and white, tan and white, gray and white, and some are snowy white. They blend in perfectly with their surroundings. And I have the wing of a barn owl for you to see when we get a chance, and you should really look closely at it. It's so beautiful and so very soft. The lifespan of owls in the wild is not certainly known. They don't have much research on that, so it's not clearly known. But under good conditions in captivity, a barn owl can reach the age of 13. They've known a tawny owl to live as long as 16 years, a snowy owl 24 and a half years, and an eagle owl 68 years. Longer than some of our lifespan. Okay. Is everyone very bored? Okay. In late winter or early spring, an adult male owl will begin to sound its mating call. The female will answer, and sometimes they sing a beautiful duet together, beautiful to their ears, maybe not to ours. These mating calls help the male locate and identify the female. In almost all species of owls, the male and female look alike. The only difference will be their size. The female owl is larger. Once the male has located his mate, he begins to show her all the fancy dance-like movements he can do. He might fly around in an intricate pattern, bow in front of her, or bring a delicate morsel, probably a juicy rodent, to eat. During the this short courtship period, it is important for the female to know that the male is a good provider. After they mate and the male owl fertilizes the eggs inside the female's body, they then begin to look for a nest. They don't build a nice nest. It's not neat, and they don't usually they take anyone's nest. They don't care where it is. A hollow tree trunk, rocky mountain ledge, deserted house, a barn, an abandoned hawk's nest, crow's nest, or a birdhouse if there happens to be one available. It can be almost nothing at all. If in fact they happen to build one, it's usually poorly made out of a few sticks and possibly some grass haphazardly thrown together. Female owls, according to their species, will lay from 2 to 12 eggs. The eggs are white in color and rounder in shape than most other birds. They're not all laid on the same day, therefore they hatch at different intervals. The incubation period is from 25 to 30 days. Due to the fact that the nestlings hatch at different times, the first hatch is usually the largest and the strongest. The last one may be the runt of the litter. While the female is incubating, the male owl brings her food. Some species of owls share this responsibility. When the nestlings first hatch, the male brings food for the young owlet, and later, both female and male hunt to feed the hungry young. Owls are excellent parents and will go to great lengths to protect their young. If an intruder comes too close to the nest, they will fluff their feathers up until they look almost twice their size, spread their wings, and make a loud snapping noise with their beak. They will even fly above the intruder, pause for a second, then swoop down with their sharp talons in position to attack on contact. Some scientists think that most owls remain together throughout the year, and not just during the nest mating season. Some species separate, then find each other again when the mating season begins. There are even owls who stay together for life. Now, the largest North American owl is the great gray. It's about 2.5 feet long from the tip of the beak to the tip of its tail. Looks huge, but only weighs about 3 pounds. It's covered with about 2.5 inches of soft, fluffy feathers. Live in the northern woods of Canada, but they're really an endangered species. The trappers have killed so many of them because they believe the owl was destroying too many red squirrels. There are also a few great gray owls found in the mountains of Yosemite National Park, so hopefully we're protecting the species there. The smallest North American owl is the elf owl. It's about 6 6/10 of an inch long and never weighs more than 28 grams. That, of course, is less than an ounce. They move around during the year, which is not the case with most other owls. They spend the spring and summer in Arizona and New Mexico, and the winter season in Mexico. An elf owl can hover in front of a flower filled with insects or catch the bugs in mid-air with its sharp talons. So if you happen to be in one of those areas and you think you've seen a hummingbird hovering in front of a flower, it might be an elf owl. Look closer. The fiercest North American owl is the great horn. It's known to be the most aggressive and fiercest of the North American owls. It can be as large as 25 inches in length, and they really don't have horns, but very large ear tufts. This owl diet consists of skunks, foxes, rabbits, turkeys, turtles, frogs, fish, rodents, chickens, and sometimes domestic animals. They can be found in North and South America. Those found in northern Canada have feathers that are almost all white. Now, the earliest fossil owl that was found in Wyoming. It's 60 million years old, which places it in the Paleocene period. The Strigidae is the oldest family of owls, and these fossils, which were discovered in France, are placed in the Oligocene period, 36 million years ago. The Titanidae fossils date back to 12 million years ago, the Miocene period. Here at La Brea, evidence of 9 species were discovered. The Strixbrea howard, which is now extinct, horned owl, the screech, the saw-whet, the pygmy, and many, many barn owls. Not enough bones from any of these species were made available so as to construct a mounted skeleton. In summary, I'd like to say, I think it's important to keep a few facts in mind regarding owls in general. They are not all night hunters. Many of them are crepuscular. That means they hunt in early morning and early evening. Some are diurnal, meaning they hunt for food during the day. The hawk owl, burrowing owl, pygmy owl, just to mention a few, hunt during the day. Owls cannot see in absolute darkness. None of them have long ears, but some have long ear tufts. None of them are earless, but their ear tufts are so small until they're not easily visible. None of them have whiskers, but bristly brown and white feathers grow out of the whiskered owl's cheeks. None of them have horns. The great horned owl just has exceptionally large ear tufts. Owls are certainly smarter than some other birds, but they're not born old, nor are they born wise. They are, however, excellent hunters, have little trouble locating, diving, and attacking their prey. This is because of their keen sight, acute hearing, silent, swift flight. They are usually good friends to the farmers because they consume so many rodents, insects, and other undesirables, but will attack a human if threatened. They are long, short, big, small, nocturnal, diurnal, crepuscular, have long ear tufts, short ear tufts, binocular vision, acute hearing, migrate, fly silently, molt, mob, horp, make many different sounds, and usually are not easily found. Thank you.
I don't want to pass this around because I don't want it to get broken, but please feel free to touch this. I don't know, where should I leave it, on the chair?
The chair.
And the...
Very good. Where'd you get the wig?
From the Museum of Natural History. I have to take it back.